In this video, I will continue to analyze modern defense. And in this video, we will devote more attention to Austrian attack. We will analyze more deeply, we will study more deeply Austrian attack. Once again, Austrian attack arises after the next move order. E4, g6, d4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6, f4. Classical modern defense is a6, b5. But in this video, I will recommend you to play knight f6, and we will study this move. A6 we will study in the next chapter. Okay, knight f6, and here White's main move is knight f3. Also, there is bishop d3, but after short castle, knight f3 arises the position which we will examine later. Knight f3. So the disadvantage of this move is that there is c5 break, and we will cover this break in this video. So c5, this is a very logical move, and the main idea of black side in modern defense. So after the normal d takes c5, sorry, d takes c5, there is a very important trick, queen a5. The idea that c takes d6 is very bad because of knight e4, and black has fantastic position. This is a very important trick, and also this trick, this idea, this tactical idea happens in King's Indian defense. So queen a5, bishop d3, the normal move, but bishop d3 is not dangerous for black. More trick is queen d4. So we will see this later. This move, bishop d3, queen a5, queen c5, queen e2, short castle, bishop e3, queen e5, short castle, bishop g4, h3, bishop takes, queen takes, knight c6. So this position is very similar to Sicilian defense, dragon variation, and this position is a very good version of dragon variation for black. So the main plan for black here is to play, to organize counterplay on the c file. So also to organize counterplay on the queen side, and a6 b5, for example, and also black has a very strong dark square bishop, so black is fine. And for example, a3, knight d7, bishop d2, queen d8. Oh, knight d7 is a very typical move for such type of position, such type of positions. Rook e1, e6, king h1, and also king h1 is very typical for Sicilian. E6 is a very good move too. Black wants to control this very important square. Rook c8, as I said before, this is very typical to occupy c file for black. f5, a6, queen g3, and white's main plan in this position is to organize strong counterplay on the king side. But it's quite difficult for white to checkmate uh, black's king. Bishop e5. I'm not sure about this move because after this black trade these bishops. Okay, black has a very solid position. The chances of both sides near equal, and we will cover this game later in one of our next videos. Okay, the position after bishop t3. This is what we want with black when we play modern defense. So this is a position of our dream in modern defense. Unfortunately, even the position of our dreaming position is not big advantage for black, and it's equal position. But what to do? Black is black. So more tricky move in this position is queen d4. Queen d4. White's idea is to trade queens and then to play 5. And this endgame is very unpleasant for black, for example, knight d5. So then castles. And this is the main idea. So the bishop on g7 is very stupid, and so this is very important in modern defense to keep pawn on d6. This pawn is very important because control this very important square central, and so d takes e5 is not black's plan in modern defense. But d takes e5 is also playable continuation in this position. Knight c6, e5, bishop e6, and queen d5. And according to computer, the strongest continuation was knight d5 here instead of knight h5. And black is okay. But I don't like this, and I like the idea not to take on c5 and to play knight c6. Knight c6, bishop b5, and bishop d7. So now we want to take, and if white takes here, we take with bishop, and I think that we take b6, for example. And black has a good counterplay for the pawn. So queen a4, and now queen c7. I like this idea to sacrifice this pawn. But white's problem here is that after this move, we have a6, and what to do with this? If you play this queen is in a very unpleasant situation. The queen is in trouble. Okay, short castle, very good. Queen a3. This was happened in one of the game of correspondence players. And I like this way of play for black. a6, bishop c4. Now b5, very good idea. So here white has one pawn move, but the center is not so strong, and we have the position typical to Volga Gambit, and the same idea. So black has some pressure on the queen side. Also, this bishop is very bad. We control this very important diagonal, and I think that black has very strong compensation for the pawn. But again, you have to be very careful with this queen d4, and you have to study this move and to remember what to do and to know what to do against queen d4. If you should decide to play c5 immediately instead of short castle. The other very important move and the main theoretical line here is bishop b5 check. So bishop d7 is the strongest continuation here. e5. Also there is bishop d7. Bishop d7, then against queen fd7, d5. This idea is very interesting, and we have to cover this idea and to understand what to do and how to play with black again this plan. So white's plan is very typical for Benoni defense. Whites want to prevent black side from prevent the counterplay on the queen side, so this b5, and then to play e5 and to dominate totally in the center, and then h4, h5 to destroy black's position. Short castle, knight a6, king h7, yeah. Queen b6, very good move. Queen e1, yeah, queen e1 is very typical idea. The queen h4, then f4, and bishop h6, and to checkmate black's king position. Knight b4, queen f2, bishop d4, queen e2, and queen a6. So black plays very energetically, and they have a fantastic position because they it's very difficult, because white cannot avoid the queen exchange, and so because queen d2 is immediate, because of queen f1 checkmate, and so queen c2 there is knight c2, and for this reason white decided to play this rook e1, and after this bishop g7, black is better. After after so without queen, black is better in this position. So you know that white has space advantage, but the problem of space advantage, if you trade some pieces, space advantage is not advantage; it's a disadvantage, and it's better to play without advantage when you in the end game, for example. So in this position, black has a very good counterplay, for example, like b6 here. Yes, f5, and so destroy white center. And after rook d1, if black captures on c3, they had a big advantage. So, for example, bishop c3, and it's a big advantage for black. So we know what to do against d5, against bishop d7, and now we continue to study main line e5 and g4. So e6, the main move here, but also we have to analyze a little bit bishop d7. Bishop d7. Queen d7, I like this move. So I want to play. I want to occupy this square with this knight. And here white has two options. First option is more popular d5, h3. Oh, yeah, the idea that after knight f6, white takes on e5 with a big advantage, and for this reason e4. Okay, knight e4. If white decided if white decides to take on g4, that is, he takes f3, queen f3, knight a6, bishop d2, and here we have a quite unusual position for modern defense. Both sides has a long castle. This is very strange for this opening, because in this opening black usually does short castle, make short castle on this opening. This is very usual. Black goes for short castle. Knight c7, bishop 1, yeah, again, very important f5 idea. And black has a good counterplay, so maybe this position is slightly better for white, but I think it's not a big problem to make a draw at this line. No, for black. This bishop is very strong, alter this pawn. Okay, black is. So we trade two pieces, and so it's not so difficult. I think it's quite easy for black to equalize here. And the other line is this move, h3. Of course, he takes d4, queen d4, and here knight c6. Sorry, knight c6, queen e4, knight h6. Again, very logical moves. So why not to win tempo and to develop this knight? Bishop e3, knight e5, bishop f2, and here is very important this trick. F takes e5, knight e5, queen e6, and after long castle, bishop e5, h e1, bishop c3, bishop b7, queen c8. So okay, in this position, it's complicated position again, but black is fine. Queen c3, very brave move here. So what to do again? This g4, queen e1, d2, d8, and black has to resign. Yeah? So what to do? What to do? Knight d6. Bishop d4. Again, black has to resign. Okay, not so easy. How to play this position? Quite dangerous without this bishop. This bishop is very strong, and this squares is the king position is very bad. So I have to analyze this position more deeply. Okay, and the main plan here is e6. So against this move, black has three options here. Sorry, no. There are two options for black here. First is bishop takes on b5, and the second option is f takes e6. Okay, no, we have to understand the position after f takes e6. Knight g5, yes, bishop b5, knight e6, and here you have to remember this beautiful trick for black. So if black makes normal move like for example queen e5, after knight g7 check, queen g4, this is white has a huge advantage, and it's a very bad position for black. But black has bishop d4, knight b5, queen d5, check, c3, bishop f2. Yeah, sorry. Black has bishop takes on d4, and here there is a very beautiful draw. So, and for this reason, knight d8 is a bad move, and the strongest continuation is knight b5 and queen e5. And this is a very complicated position. I think that if you choose the line with immediate c5, you have to study very careful this position, and you have to know the evaluation of this position for black. So if in this position black has a comfortable play, c5 is very good, and you have to study this. If no, I think that it's better to focus on short castle instead of c5. Okay, also there is bishop b5, and after this black has two moves. First king f8, and the second move is king g7. And after king f8, knight b5, queen e5, again very logical, c takes, knight takes. I think that this position unpleasant for black. For example, knight c6, knight c6. This is very beautiful, yes, and king g7. After queen g4, white is winning. The only move is knight f6. And here, after knight a6, king a6, so now there is no material advantage for white already. But the position after short castle, king f7, bishop e3, for example, I think this is maybe if it is correspondence game and you play with computer, it's okay, it's playable. But for normal game, classical game, or so normal game with classical time control, or especially with short time control. This is very unpleasant position because the king is because black's king is very bad, and this position, I don't like this. I don't want to play this position. There are some games in human practice, but I don't like this. It looks very uncomfortable from human point of view. And the second move for black is king f7, short castle, queen c5, knight e2, knight c6, c3, rook h8, h3, queen f6. So this position is better for black, but the problem that again this move, the strongest move is queen g4. And after bishop d4, once again, but here is better. This is better for black. Yeah, king f7. This is looks better for black. But the short castle, I think that black has also some problems. It's not so easy. Okay, and now let's see the other option, king d7. And yes, and this looks is from the first sight it looks very crazy move, right? Because now after knight b5, we have the first this pawn on f6. This king is very bad position, but it's not so easy. And black's pieces are not so bad. And for this reason, after ctx, queen h5, knight e4, knight c6. So black, yeah, white's problem is this bishop, and also there is no short castle. So, and so black uses this time to win this pawn. So to equalize the material balance, and so then black has a very good prospects in the end game. Yeah, queen d5, knight g3, d2, queen e6. Yes, and even here, okay, now it's much more easy for black to play, because in the end game it's much easier for black to play even without this pawn, and this pawn now is very weak, and it's very difficult for white to save this pawn. And for this reason, after so, and now black returns this pawn, and this is and I think that already black is slightly better, because this bishop is stupid, this pawn is on dark squares, and so the endgame is slightly better for black. So this is very interesting move, but it looks very risky, and if you should decide to play this line with black, you have to study this, and you have to remember what to do. So more important, I think, for evaluation of this position is what about this move, what about this position. This is very important for this line. Okay, once again, c5. 5 is very interesting idea, very principle for black. And if white doesn't have any ideas and play normal moves, so black has a very good position. So very good version of dragon variation. And but the problem that white has a lot of tricky moves like queen d4. Also, there is this bishop b5 check, and you have to remember what to do after, for example, this is h3. So there are a lot of side lines for white, and also in the main line after knight g4 e6, the position is very complicated. And very often black has very bad king, and for this reason it's quite difficult to play this line with black. But if you're if you're a big fan of long theoretical variations, you can play this line.